What's up guys, we're back with another NECA Turtles review. It's already time again for another NECA Turtles review because when they start, they just don't stop. So we are of course taking a look at the first of two sets for the Punk Frog. So we've got, first up on deck, we've got Rasputin and Genghis. And I have really been looking forward to this. I mean, I say that with every one of these releases, but I've really been looking forward to these because they are, well, these two aren't exactly different from one another, but these are different figures from the norm. These are more unique style of figures. They're not turtles, they're not big beasts, they're similar to turtles, but they're very different at the same time. And I also like the Punk Frogs. I really like their vintage figures, the ones that have them anyway. And then of course Rasputin is one of the characters that never got a vintage toy. So this is a first here. So I'm pretty interested just to see what's going on in this box. Of course, being a Target exclusive NECA TOON 2-pack, that's a mouthful. We do have the standard style packaging here. So figures are in the window. You've got some cartoon style artwork in the bottom corners. Product shots for the figure on their respective side panel. And then the back of the box has got that same write-up for Turtles that we're used to seeing by now. A big shot of these two guys. And then cross-sell for some recent-ish stuff. And the upcoming Ultimate Foot Soldier. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go out of the package. Our first set of Punk Frogs. So we've got on the left Rasputin the Mad Frog and on the right Genghis Frog. And as we get deeper and deeper into TOON stuff, I find myself questioning more and more exactly how many people remember a lot of this stuff, because these guys are not in the show that much. I feel like a lot of people remember these because of the toys, so I'm curious how many folks out there truly remember that there were 4 of them, truly remember who the other 2 were, because if you had the toys, you definitely knew who Genghis was and you knew who Napoleon was. But what about Rasputin and what about Attila? You may have forgotten them, honestly, and this set is going to kind of refresh your memory a little bit as to exactly just how similar all of these frogs were, because they're all basically the same damn thing. It was only when we got to the toys that the 2 that got figures were truly very different, and they were incredibly different. So there is a lot, and when I say a lot, I mean like 100% parts reuse between these 2 figures, but as far as the show goes, that's exactly what it's supposed to be. So it is a lot of good stuff here. I'm actually really happy with just about everything going on. They feel really good, if that doesn't sound too weird. They don't feel stiff or tight. If anything, they're a little bit too far in the other direction in some respects. So let's just see what they can do, see how they move around. They are a little bit different from the norm, again, because like I said, they are just their own thing. They're very different figures from what we're used to. So we're going to take Rasputin aside for now, and we're going to use Genghis here as the guinea pig or the guinea frog or whatever you want to call it. So we've got a big old ball peg at the neck. Well, there's not really a neck here, but you get my meaning. So they go backwards or up a little bit. It's decent enough, especially with how their eyes are set, that it doesn't really matter. It still lends themselves to looking up really well. And then they can look down about that far. You've got a little bit of tilt. It's not tons because of how thick their neck is, really. But if you sort of tilt their head to the side, it'll sort of work out. They rotate, but again, you know, they're one of those sort of lurching forward type of figures, so it doesn't really work. But it's just the sort of nature of the character. They're always sort of hunched over a little bit. Arms go out at the shoulders. They rotate all the way around. Bicep swivels on these guys are interesting because all 4 biceps, you know, 2 per, were really, really tight. And they are naturally hidden at the sleeve, so there is a bicep swivel there, but it was really tight. I actually had to heat one of them up. One arm had to be heated. I don't remember which one at this point. Otherwise, they just took a considerable amount of force to actually get them spinning. The elbows are single joints, and they are also one of the tighter areas on the figures, but not like too bad. You get a little bit better than 90 degrees out of those, and they rotate. And then you've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. Torsos have a cut, so diaphragm cut, so they tilt side to side pretty decently. They go backwards a little bit, and then they go forward. So the jacket, or the shirt rather, is an overlay, so it is going to impede some movement here and there. And then you've got full rotation at the torso. There is also a waist twist down here as well, right where the stomach meets the pants. Legs go out about that far. Not full splits, but really, really, really close. I mean, as close as you need. They kick forward. They kick backwards all the way. And then there isn't really like a thigh swivel at the actual joint because of how the legs are structured, but we do get a cut at the bottom of the shorts, so at the top of the knee, sort of mid-thigh area, which is fine, same kind of functionality. And then you do get double jointed knees. Move that arm out of the way. It goes back about as far as it could possibly go before it hits those shorts. And then we've got rocker, you've got hinges at the ankle. So they move really well. And I should also mention these are, of course, the newer style joints for the hips. So they're that sort of ball and socket style joint. They move really well. I've had no true issues except for trying to get those biceps a little bit loose. And again, it wasn't anything I was too concerned about. It's just they were really tight. The elbows were a little bit tight, but again, I didn't have to heat those up either. It was only one bicep. I don't like having to say that, but again, it is what it is. Otherwise, though, everything moves pretty fluidly. And like I said, if anything, they move a little bit more than you would expect. They're almost on the loose side in some respects, but I'd much rather them be that than way, way too tight where I'm just breaking joints everywhere. As usual, the aesthetics are my main focus because these guys are unique. We've never seen anything like these figures in this line before. We've never seen these designs interpreted in plastic before. Rasputin never got a figure, as far as that goes. But these guys are pretty unique. They are, of course, very similar as well. So out of the box, they do have a little bit of a difference because they have swappable heads. So you get 2 heads for each figure. Rasputin comes with the smiling head, the kind of happy head, and Genghis comes with the worried head. It's just a difference in a slight difference in sculpt, really. They're not all that different. And then, of course, they come with the opposite head for each figure, so you can have them look exactly the same, save for their color palettes. I think overall, sculpt is really well done. Paint on these guys is really well done as well. They do have painted joints. I haven't had that much of an issue with paint chipping yet. I'm sure it's going to happen, but it hasn't really become a thing for me. I don't have paint chips all over the table right now, for example, so your mileage may vary on that, but I'm pretty happy with how that's worked out so far. They are, again, very similar figures, but that's the shtick for these guys. They are just, 4 carbon copies of each other for the most part, save for their differences in color. So Rasputin's darker, Genghis is much, much brighter by comparison. They do have a little bit of spotting differences when it comes to the spots on the cheeks and then on the nose. And then, of course, their clothes are different. So Rasputin and Genghis sort of mirror each other, the yellow and the purple, and then red and blue when it comes to those trunks. The overall clothing design, if that's what you want to call it, I think works really well. The jacket is an overlay, so it's not too over encumbering to the body. It could be a big brick around him, and it's not. It's a little pliable. It does get in the way a little bit on the back kick when you want to bend him backwards, but otherwise I think it works nicely. Again, color is super bright and vibrant. Paint is really well done. The shorts also look really good. It's not much to write home about, but it does look good. And then you've got the classic NECA sort of, chopped down the middle, the bisected color scheme, so they're darker on the back, they're brighter on the front, to give them that cel-shaded look in conjunction kind of with all of the black line work. So you got the accents around the eyes, and then you've got the toes that are a little bit accented. Same with the musculature on the forearms, and then on the legs, and then a little bit for kind of wrinkles in the armpits, and then in the crotch area on those trunks. So yeah, they're really not a lot to complain about in looks department here. I think they very much mimic the cartoon aesthetic nicely. It's a great example of parts reuse done correctly when it comes to a line because, they're all going to look the same, so let's churn them out. I want all 4 of these guys, and it's perfectly acceptable that it is a lot of the same parts over and over and over again because that's what they should look like. The color differences are enough to keep them separate, and overall, sculpt and paint is very much on point here. I really don't have any complaints when it comes to the overall visuals here. They very much look like they jumped right out of the screen to me. And then because why not, here is the first of a few comparisons with these figures. So we've got the vintage Genghis frog to go alongside our cartoon versions. Of course, Rasputin did not have a figure, but Genghis did. Napoleon also had a figure, and he is wildly different by comparison. But Genghis isn't too far apart. They definitely don't look the same, but a lot of those key things about this character are there. You've got the, sort of Tommy Bahama shirt going. You've got the trunks, and then you've got the bracelets even on him. And the shirt design isn't too far off for a Playmates figure. Of course, the color palette is all wrong across the board, But this is an instance of a figure not looking exactly right, but still being pretty close. And then for some more size style comparisons, we've got our new cartoon Leonardo from the 4-pack disguise set, and then we've got Leatherhead. So these obviously I think fit as far as what you might want to pair them up with, because of course they end up with the turtles quite a bit, or at least enough as far as this show is concerned. And then Leatherhead and the frogs definitely have a run-in, and you can see that he absolutely towers over them because they are a little bit smaller than even the turtles, which makes them relatively small even by this line's standards. So you've got your big bad to go along with the frogs, and I think he's going to look really nice with them. And then of course you've got the turtles, which are going to scale really nicely as well and have figures that are close enough with each other that they're going to fit alongside each other on a shelf really well, or within whatever kind of scene you're setting. And then for, I don't know, some other lines, here is a Marvel Legend. So here is, because why not keep it consistent, here is Frogman, because, you know, why not? And let's do a Figure Arts, because I always tend to do this as well. So here is the Saiyan raised on Earth Goku as my standby, and you can see that even he is taller than the frogs, just based on how they stand, because they've got kind of a wide stance. And then you've got your Frogman here, which is a more normal-ish Marvel Legends. He's not super big by that line standards, and he is quite a bit taller as well. Now, when it comes to accessories, these guys are pretty stocked. There is a lot of interchangeable parts. There are, you know, a few little wacky references as usual, and then of course they get their sort of signature weapons. I do think, however, that I've noticed a problem with my set when it comes to accessories. It's about as minor as it can be, thankfully, but I'm pretty sure it's a problem. There's no way it can't be the more I look at it. So we'll get to that. But they do have, like I mentioned, the interchangeable heads. So, you know, Genghis comes with the sort of worried, gritting of the teeth head, and then you get a replacement one for Rasputin. That's the same kind of thing. Rasputin comes with a smiling head. Genghis comes with a smiling head as well. So you can make them out to be essentially carbon copies of one another. They do get their signature weapons. So Genghis comes with an axe, which looks pretty good. Differing shades of sort of gray and sort of like silvery white with some brown on the handle. Some nicks in there to make it look like it's been used. Of course, he can hold that in his gripping hands. And then Rasputin comes with his bow. It does have a strung wire on it. It is kind of taut, so maybe be careful with it. I am always so cautious when it comes to bows, because I'm either gonna rip this cord, or I'm gonna send an arrow flying across the room into the void, never to be seen again. And speaking of arrows, he does come with 4. So you get the quiver, and of course you can swap it, put it on him, just take the head off and wrap it around his shoulder, and you're good to go. And then you get 4 arrows. You get 3 regular ones, and they, you know, just sit in there just fine. And then you get, I'm pretty sure this one was like a flashbang kind of grenade, and it's got like a little eye on it almost. And what it's really nice is that you put it in there with them, and it keeps them all kind of taut. So it sort of fills out the quiver a little bit, so that they're not just sort of rattling around in there. And then they get hands. So they all have gripping hands on them in the box. And then as far as Rasputin goes, he gets some that are more akin to using a bow. So you can sort of put the string through his fingers here and then sort of grip an arrow. And then he gets sort of 2-finger, you know, piece style of hands. And they are different shades, so they don't really swap in and out of each other. So those are for him specifically. And then as far as Genghis goes, he gets a set of fists, or at least I think it's supposed to be a set of fists. So I've got a left fist here, but then I've also got another left gripping hand. I'm quite certain this is an error in my set. Again, like I said, it's not the biggest problem in the world. You know, I get a fist and I get a hand I'm probably never going to use, but it's still not a good thing either. I'm certainly not happy with that. But I do believe, I mean, that has to be an error, right? There's no way that's supposed to be in there. 2 left hands, and then one of them being a gripping hand. And then he gets 2 pointing finger hands. So you get those as well. Each frog comes with a turtle comm. Nice sculpt, great detail. They each have an open comm, so it's not like you get one that's closed and one that's open. You get 2 of these. We get to their pre-mutated forms. So here's a pre-mutated Genghis. And this is just like usual, like a little slug figure. No articulation. There's a nice little frog butt action. But good sculpt, good paint applications, nice little accents as far as the TOON detailing. And here is your Rasputin. as well. So another, same thing, just darker. And then we also get a few little, reference kind of things. So this is one of the control things from the Dirk Savage episode, which I believe is like their last appearance in the show. It's later on in the series anyway. But you get this sort of like to, lock one of them up. I imagine we might get more of this because I'm assuming we're going to get him at one point. And then we get the disguise that you can put over top of one of them, which I absolutely love. This is by far my favorite accessory in this entire set. I love it. I think it's ridiculous and absurd, and it fits on the heads perfectly. I mean, like, you couldn't ask for a better fit when it comes to that. It's just so stupid, and this is the kind of thing that I like to see. So it is, of course, a hat with a set of glasses and a nose and a mustache and some very furry eyebrows attached. So yeah, so a lot of good stuff here, honestly. I do, again, think that I have an issue. There is no chance that he is supposed to have an extra left gripping hand. So if somebody out there got an extra right fist, let me know, I guess. Maybe we'll swap or whatever. But they do come with a decent amount of accessories. All the stuff you really need as far as their core accessories. And then, as usual, a handful of little goofy things that NECA likes to throw in as well. So yeah, another really solid set, honestly. There's not a whole lot to complain about, except, of course, for the fact that I am 99.9% sure that I have a wrong hand in this set. But otherwise, sculpts are great. The accuracy to the cartoon is really well done. Paint is nicely done. Nothing crazy in the realm of stuck joints, except for those biceps, which are oddly the thing that's stuck. It's not a hinge this time, it's just a swivel. But that's easily fixed, thankfully. You'll probably have no issues moving those around. Accessories are on point. Love that disguise face mask. I think it's fantastic. And really, this is a great implementation of this body that's going to be across 4 different figures. I'm absolutely happy with the fact that this is how they're going to pump them out. They are basically identical characters anyway. Just throw some different clothes on them and a different color scheme, and we're good to go. And I honestly can't wait for the next set. I'm really happy to be able to just knock all 4 of these frogs out relatively quickly. So that's going to do it for this look at the NECA Toys Target exclusive Rasputin and Genghis. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.